The most spectacular UFO sighting in United States history. It happened in Farmington, New Mexico in 1950. Craft seen by hundreds. Speed estimated at 1,000 miles per hour. Altitude 20,000 feet. For the third consecutive day, flying saucers have been reported over Farmington. And on each of the 3 days, their arrival here was reported between 11 and noon. So said the Farmington Daily Times of March 18, 1950. Forget about Roswell 1947. To be honest, I remain quite skeptical of any kind of alien UFO saucer crash stories. Now, the Phoenix, Arizona incident of 1997 was definitely significant. I believe that many people witnessed a large, dark, triangular craft described by some witnesses as somewhat transparent except for the fixed lights at each of the angles of the triangle, slowly, something like 5 or 10 miles per hour, coming in from the northwest direction and silently passing over Phoenix between around 8 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. on March 13, 1997. Some described it as V-shaped rather than triangular with some fixed lights on the wings. We still do not know what it was. But when it comes to the most amazing sightings ever recorded in the United States, nothing can even come close to what transpired over the skies of Farmington, New Mexico in 1950. The most spectacular mass appearance of UFOs in United States history took place over the skies of Farmington, New Mexico in March of 1950, and it happened for 3 consecutive days, March 15th, 16th, and 17th. The so-called 1997 Phoenix sightings pale in comparison to what happened in Farmington, not too far from the Four Corners area. Anywhere from around 200 to 400 disc-shaped metallic silver-colored objects were seen in the sky, performing all kinds of maneuvers, making all kinds of formations, and simply giving incredible flight show in the sky. It all began around 11 a.m. on March 15, 1950, and lasted for about an hour. For 3 consecutive days, from around 11 a.m. to noon each day, hundreds of astonished citizens of this town witnessed the most spectacular daytime mass UFO sightings ever recorded. And it all took place during broad daylight, usually from around 11 a.m., lasting for about 1 hour. Like I said, the front page headline of Farmington Daily Times of March 18 documented the amazing sightings. Headline: Huge saucer armada jolts Farmington. And even the Los Angeles Times reported on March 18, 1950, scores report seeing saucers flight information over New Mexico. Albuquerque Journal also had the article that came out on March 18, 1950. Hundreds at Farmington report a large force of flying saucers. Now here is an artist's depiction of the Farmington UFO sightings by James Neff, courtesy of James Neff. the baffling question, why are there no photographs? One of the most baffling aspects of this incident, which happened for 3 consecutive days, even though it lasted for 1 hour each time, is that even as of today, there's not even one photograph of the object seen in the sky. None. Now, I have absolutely no explanation for that. The only crazy explanation I can give is that perhaps the entities themselves somehow did not want this event to be photographed. I know it sounds crazy, but other than that, I have no answers. Moreover, for some reason or other, this incident seemed to have been hushed up quickly. A few years ago, I was fortunate enough to visit Farmington and was able to interview an elderly gentleman who was one of hundreds of witnesses to this spectacular event. He confirmed to me practically all the aspects of that incident, as was reported in Farmington Daily Times news article. I visited the Farmington Senior Center to find some witnesses. Their number is rapidly diminishing. According to some townsfolk, government agents came to town quickly after the incident, discouraging people to talk about the incident for national security reasons. The Cold War had gripped the psyche of the people by 1950, and the people were quite receptive and cooperative with whatever the government had told them, and perhaps even handing them photos or films that they may have taken, negatives including, and may even have bought up a large portion of the editions of the newspapers of March 18, 1950. However, this explanation does not fully answer the mystery. Now, you can read the full report from the Farmington Daily Times news article, all included in the link provided in the comments section of this video. Now, there is also an article that appeared in a publication called UFO Evidence, the Farmington UFO Armada, an excellent article that you can also read. By the way, the late Stanton Friedman talked about this Farmington UFO incident. Now let's listen to what he has to say.
I personally think that New Mexico would have been a prime target for any alien visitors. I mean, I make one assumption about all civilizations out there, as well as here for that matter, that they're concerned about their own survival and security. That seems to be a natural part of the development of any advanced civilization. Okay, that being the case, you have to keep tabs on the primitives in the neighborhood. But only close tabs, frequent visitations, detailed investigations, when they show signs of being able to bother you. At the end of World War II, there were 3 signs that soon these idiot earthlings, this primitive society whose major activity is tribal warfare, we don't look far to see that it's still that way, you don't need to look far for that, would be moving out. Soon meaning 100 years, which on a cosmic timescale is nothing. The 3 signs were clearly nuclear weapons, you measure the radiation in the atmosphere, it's easy to find. V-2 rockets, which obviously weren't being used to carry mail back and forth between Germany and England, and powerful electronics, radar systems in particular, which suddenly appeared on this planet. It used to be AM radio, which sticks around the planet, and now suddenly you've got radar beams that go outside. We're obviously moving along with development of electronic systems. I don't think it's any coincidence at all that the only place on the planet where you could check out all three of these technologies in 1947 and 48 was southeastern New Mexico. That's where the first atom bomb was tested, Infinity Site on Alamogordo Army Airfield, White Sands Proving Ground, if you want to call it that. The V-2 rockets were all being tested there that we'd captured from the Germans. And we were modifying some to go up much higher and things like that. And that's where we had our best radar to track the rockets, which sometimes went south instead of north, even though they were supposed to go north. I would be flabbergasted if aliens weren't checking out the place.
So, New Mexico would have been a natural place for aliens to visit. But Roswell and Aztec remain controversial at best. Is there a related UFO incident that even the skeptics can accept as real? As it happens, there is, and it occurred just a few miles from Aztec in Farmington, New Mexico.
The Farmington Armada case is a classic in ufology. In March of 1950, a large number of people in Farmington, New Mexico, which at that time was a lot smaller than it is now, I mean dramatically smaller. I think now it's about 30,000. We're dealing in those days with maybe 3,000 people, if that. In any case, what they saw were literally hundreds of objects circling in the sky and zooming back and forth in formation, and most people describing them as being shaped like dinner plates, classic flying saucers, including one that was bright red. All the others were silvery. And the bright red one is interesting, particularly because as it led a group of these saucers away from Farmington off to the southeast, roughly, almost actually more Dewey's, but just a little south of that. A few minutes later, before any of this could hit the news wires or be on the radio anywhere, in Las Vegas, New Mexico, a group of postal workers were outside taking a break or something, looked up and saw a group of saucers whizzing over, and one of them was bright red. I think these people did see, indeed, who knows, was this a rendezvous point? Were they all dropping down from the mothership and then heading out to the 4 points of the compass, or what they were doing? I don't know. But I think they really did see something quite real.
And it was taken seriously by the Farmington Daily Times, as you can see by this headline, which ran on Saturday, March 18th of 1950, Huge Saucer Armada Jolts Farmington. There were several witnesses to the event, and Lincoln O'Brien, the publisher of the paper, actually sent a telegram by Western Union to Ken Purdy of the True magazine. Whole City, Farmington, New Mexico, where we own daily, sees large force flying saucers. Airmailing you full reports. Story terrific, not fully developed. If you want to send man to Farmington, we will assist him in every way.
The Farmington Armada, which involved lots of people seeing lots of stuff up there, lots of vehicles, if you will. Half the town, I guess, saw these things. Dr. James E. McDonald did a detailed investigation, found loads of people who'd seen things. Maybe that was the gathering place. I don't know, Four Corners area there? Who knows why they were there? I mean, who knows why people picnic in a certain area? I don't know. And it may be a staging area. Okay, you guys check out the nuclear weapon site over there. And remember, pretty soon we were building testing nuclear weapons in Nevada, which is the other way from Farmington toward Roswell in the other direction. They had a great gathering laying out their plans for further reconnaissance.
Anyway, some researchers say that the Farmington incident could be compared to the celestial phenomenon that took place in 1561 in Germany. You can click the following and read about it. In fact, let's read a little bit about it. 1561 celestial phenomenon over Nuremberg. It said, on April 15th, 1561, broadsheet by Hans Glaser described a mass sighting of celestial phenomena or unidentified flying objects above Nuremberg, then the free imperial city of the Holy Roman Empire. Ufologists have speculated that these phenomena may have been extraterrestrial spacecraft. But skeptics assert that the phenomenon was likely to have been another atmospheric phenomenon such as sundog and so on. But it's very, very interesting to read about the 1561 celestial phenomenon over Nuremberg. This is Norio Hayakawa in Albuquerque, New Mexico.